Labour MPs are to bite their tongues to avoid angering Trump. We're going to read into this more from iNews, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from iNews with the headline that Labour MPs are to bite their tongues to avoid angering Trump. Several high-profile Labour politicians have been critical of Trump, but now the party is in power, and MPs will be forced to tone down their views. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. There is absolutely no question that a lot of Labour MPs have said things. Even I have said things about Trump. Yeah, the American people have voted him. Now, I've covered this extensively on live streams already, talking about Trump's president-elect becoming to be about him being president. But for those who just watching this video, I will say obviously that it is it is not what the world wanted. We did not want Donald Trump as president. We do fear for America's future. I'm concerned about what's going to happen with Ukraine, with Gaza. I'm concerned about the global markets, how they're going to react to whatever Donald Trump does during his presidency. America will not be the same again, that is for sure. But time will tell if he makes Americans better again. If they will make them better again. Time will tell. They'll have to wait and see whether it comes to fruition. But Labour have said some vocal and tyrant language of Trump. Now, whatever you want to think of me or other people who speak about Trump, we're not politicians. We're not politicians. And to come out and say that those politicians who spoke about Trump in that way should apologize in any way, shape, or form for speaking how they feel, it's just BS because of things that Donald Trump has said, things that Donald Trump have done, and we know Donald Trump is going to do some horrendous and horrible things as president. You can stick your head in the sand and just ignore that if you want. But that's how a lot of Labour MPs feel. Now, whether we like it or not, the UK has got to have a relationship with America, and it has to be. And Keir Starmer has to have a relationship with Donald Trump. That is just it. They're just gonna have to have it, and they are gonna have to suck it up, because America can make things far worse. Now, anyone who comments on any kind of possible trade agreement between America and the UK, that's not going to happen. That wasn't even going to happen before. It's certainly not going to happen now. America is going to put its own interests first, and it's prepared to hurt the global markets and hurt everyone else in order to try and make American lives better. Whether he will or not is obviously another thing, but what Britain has got to do is got to do what it can for it. What Britain and this British government has got to do is got to do what it can for the interest of its own people, and just kind of hope that Trump gets distracted with other things as well. Because one thing that does work is distracting Donald Trump. So he will have a lot of things on his plate. Yes, he will have grievances with things with this British government, but I do think it's not going. I don't think it's going to be like I don't think it's going to be a case of that he's going to target Britain specifically. I do think he's going to target the EU single market and China's market, as he considers them the more competitive threat to the UK. But it still doesn't say that he won't potentially there might be damage coming down the road. Well, there will be damage coming down the road, that is for sure. But Labour politicians now need to hold back their language for the time being, for the sake of the UK. So Labour MPs will bite their tongues to preserve close ties between the US and UK and avoid angering Donald Trump. Several high-profile Labour politicians have been critical of Trump in the past, but now the party is in power. I was going to say the party is over, but no. Its MPs will be forced to tone down their views, and senior cabinet ministers dismiss suggestions that criticisms of the past could impact the allegiances now, despite political differences. And those who say that, saying that it will, J.D. Vance is a prime example. J.D. Vance has been incredibly critical of Donald Trump, and he's literally now he's going to be the vice president to Donald Trump. So that literally tells you everything that you need to say. He has said vocal things. Even Joe Rogan, has said in the past, he said bad things about Trump as well. And then he was literally on the podcast supporting him not too long ago. So people can, people change their things. And I don't think Trump will hold that much of a grudge, if I'm honest. At least I don't think. A Labour source has said there has not been a formal diktat to Labour MPs warning them not to criticise the president-elect, but said it was fairly routine for politicians to be told to be mindful about their social media behaviour. I'm not aware that anything has been circulating, but that's not to say that it hasn't happened privately, source said. But I think there's an element of judgment. Trump was angered during the election campaign after it emerged Labour activists had travelled to the US to campaign for his rival Kamala Harris, and the Democrats considered a sister party to Labour. They were volunteers. It was nothing to do with the Labour Party. Stop making this thing. Yeah, they weren't saying anything about Conservatives going over there either, just for the record. I doubt there is a single Labour MP that didn't want Kamala to win, but we're not in the opposition anymore, so you've got to be grown up about it, one MP has said. The difference this time is that it's happened before, right? So I certainly don't feel the shock as that I felt last time, even though I felt she would edge it. There's going to be a lot of biting tongues and trying to pass what is a full outrage versus what is genuinely a policy change or a disagreement. Some senior Labour figures, including the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, and Foreign Secretary David Lammy, have been outspoken in their criticism of Trump. Well, Trump has outright insulted the London Mayor, so that's a bit different with him compared to Lammy. Cabinet Minister Pat McFadden defended historic comments made by Trump by his colleagues, insisting that they would not interfere with the US-UK alliance. He said that their shared values and interests are more important than some tweets from many years ago, adding, I think a lot of things that have been said over the years, but not just here in the UK, including in the US. Speaking on Sky News, he went on, I don't think any of these things will interfere in what is such an important alliance for the world based on defence, security, shared values and shared history. Now, the term special, I don't want to hear the term special relationship because it's not special anymore. It's not the same as it used to be. I would say that relationship was probably still special before Brexit, but it's certainly not there now. It's all more important than all of those things. That is where the footing we begin on, and that the footing that we will continue on. The Chancellor Rachel Reeves said on Thursday that Lammy, Starmer and Trump had all enjoyed a really good meeting in New York during their recent trip to the UN General Assembly. Yeah, this was the last week before. This was the last week before, obviously before the election. They had a really good meeting, a constructive meeting, and absolutely no doubt that they will be able to work constructively with the US administration under President-elect Donald Trump, she told reporters. On Wednesday, Number 10 defended Lammy, who previously described the Republican politician as a neo-Nazi sympathizer, confirming that he would remain in post for the rest of the parliamentary term. And Khan and Trump have exchanged heated remarks several times in the past. Responding to the US election result, the mayor's statement profoundly focused on reassuring Londoners that rather than directly engaging with Trump, suggesting they opted for a different approach to the public clashes of the past. He said, I know many Londoners will be anxious about the outcome of the US presidential election. Many will be fearful about what this will mean for democracy and for women's rights, or how the results impact the situation in the Middle East or the fate of Ukraine. Others will be worried about the future of NATO or tackling the climate crisis, Khan has said. Yes, many will be concerned about all these things, as I said at the start of the video, but whether we like it or not, this is what the American people voted for. It is their choice at the end of the day, and that is the situation that we are in, and it's about how we respond to it. It's not about, for us, it's not a case of, for me, it's always about how do we react, what do we do as a nation, and how we try not to be affected too much by the global markets, and try to continue to forge a better relationship with the EU. We are going to suffer, but we already knew we were going to suffer before whatever the outcome of the US election was going to be. But yeah, it's going to be rough times ahead, and we're just going to have to deal with whatever comes. But well, I generally do hope that this Labour government does find a way to improve people's lives, and not just by the money in their pocket, but by feeling it. If people feel their lives are improved, they will vote them back in again. But that's if people's lives are improved. But unfortunately, things will get worse before they get better, is my general gut feeling. And unfortunately, people have very, very little patience these days, I'm afraid. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of Labour MPs being forced to bite their tongues? Do you think some of them will lash out by some of Donald Trump's antics over the next couple of years? Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comments section below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. Greatly appreciated. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.